Hey guys, Happy New Year. It's 2023. I think this is my first one of these in the new year, these land talks. Big week coming up, especially for me. I hope all of y'all's 2023 is off to a good start. Mine certainly has been. We're up to multi six figures in sales and note sales already. What's up, Matt? Hope everyone's having a good Sunday. Big NFL Sunday here. This week, I think I'm closing on my small town in Texas. Last week, I sold over $500,000 worth of land notes to an investor. All right, I'm raising capital here in the beginning of 2023. Keeping deals going, and it's important to always have obviously some liquidity on hand to close deals. We just started sales on another subdivision I'm doing out near Fort Stockton, Texas. I think this is gonna be anywhere from like $1 million to $1.25 million deal. Lions to win? Heck no, Packers. So yeah, this subdivision will be over $1 million deal. We already have 2 lots sold, working on a third and a fourth. All right, this business loves speed. Obviously, I love to operate with a ton of speed. I start selling these lots before I even close the land. For instance, on the subdivision, I'm not slated to close until January 13th, which is later this week. But I already have closing packages to a customer for 2 lots, and then two or three other customers who are hopefully gonna buy before I even close the lot. So we got ads going on that subdivision already. I like to do Facebook ads, as everybody knows. I'll do those ads before I even close the land. Let's see. I'm not doing any deals in California, unfortunately, or fortunately. I don't know. California has a lot of good land, especially in Northern California. I think that's a good spot for a lot of land investors, but we all know California is not the great market, especially politically. So I think there's a lot better places to buy and sell land. Texas, Florida, Carolinas, Virginia, Tennessee. I like Michigan, which is obviously where I'm from. Colorado's good, Arizona, Nevada. I'm gonna try and rename the town I'm buying. Right now, it's an unincorporated town. So this is what a lot of people don't understand, is like all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, right? Like, you just see me doing all these deals and flipping land, and you see these other land flippers out there, they're just buying and selling land. Well, there's a lot more that I do. Like last month, I think probably 10 or 15, that was about $10,000 in attorney fees. And so we've already started to look into how to rename this town, which is called Cornutus, to Jazz. I want it to be renamed to Jazz, get myself on the map, Jazz, Texas, but it's an unincorporated community. Apparently there's no, at least according to my attorneys and my research so far, there's actually no process for renaming an unincorporated town in Texas. You have to incorporate it, which is probably never going to happen out here. You need to hit a threshold of people, a threshold of infrastructure, etc. You have kind of bare minimum things you need to do, which is just probably not going to happen ever. So from the best we can tell in our research, is it's getting everybody to recognize a name on the map, basically. So you need federal agencies, Google Maps, USPS, like all these different people to recognize it as Jazz instead of the current name, which we don't know how to do that yet, but I'm working on it. So there's a lot of stuff, like you see me just flipping, buying and selling land, doing all these videos and everything, but I'm actually in the trenches operating, spending a lot of money on attorneys and consulting and etc. Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, all good states, especially Michigan and Minnesota. Both of those states have a lot of, the reason why they're good is because there's a lot of scenery and a lot of good outdoor stuff, especially in Michigan, northern Michigan, and in Minnesota, because Minnesota, the land of lakes, I believe is the nickname of that state. There's a lot of lakes out there. So there's a lot of lots that people will be interested in buying away from the city to have a little lakefront or get out for the weekend, go have a little hunting, camping, little cabin set up out near the lake, do some recreational stuff. So there's a huge draw in both Michigan and Minnesota for raw land, and there's plenty of it. Both of those states, northern Michigan and a lot of spots in Minnesota, already have land subdivided. So it's very easy for someone to go in there and buy 1 to 10 acres, call it, and flip it for 2 or 3 times what they paid for it. It's basically just kind of like a paper shuffling game. You go in, you find someone who's not using the land, they probably live out of state, they're paying taxes on it, and you take it from them and deliver it to somebody in Minneapolis or St. Paul or whatever the other big cities are in Minnesota, and offer to them to go get out of the city. Kansas, I'm not too familiar with, not gonna lie. There's a lot of big farms in Kansas, a lot of farmland. I've personally had great success converting farmland to residential land in the past. I've done a lot of that in Texas. And so what you'd have to look for in Kansas is there any zoning, and how easy is it to subdivide land? I would imagine there's very little to no restrictions. And if subdividing up there is pretty easy, you can go in and find an old rundown farm or a farmer who doesn't want to farm anymore and buy their land and turn it into residential 10 to 20 acre lots for people to go put a mobile home on, or livestock, something like that. That's kind of what I would be targeting in Kansas. You want to buy some land? Well, there's plenty of it. I would recommend doing some research before you just go buy a piece. It's funny, I was talking to someone on a sales call today. It's like, can't tell you how many times someone has bought like $50,000 to $100,000 worth of land, and then they call me up. They're like, I got this land. What can I do with it? Or can I flip it and try and make some money? It's like, dude, you didn't do your research up front. Then you spent 100 G's on a piece of land in Arizona that is worth 100,000. So you literally paid top of the market for your piece of land, which is not good. Briefly familiar with Georgia and Florida, not so much Connecticut. Connecticut land's obviously going to be more expensive. It's highly populated, more people up there. The more dense population you get and close to the city, the more expensive generally land is going to be. North Georgia is a great area for land. I have a student who does some work down in Georgia with a lot of success. There's a lot of lots in Georgia where you can send direct mail, anywhere from 5 to 50 acres, call it, in rural Georgia, and there's a great demand for land like that in Georgia. North Georgia, believe it or not, like the Blue Ridge area, is one of my favorite places. I've been there multiple times. It's kind of a dream of mine to own one of those cabins, either on Lake Blue Ridge or like on the Toccoa River or something like that out in North Georgia. I love gold mining, so North Georgia actually has some gold. I've been gold sluicing and panning out there multiple times, and yeah, North Georgia is a awesome place. Atlanta, yeah, perfect. So look at, just go to Lands of America or Zillow and kind of just zoom out and set your filters to, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, and see what kind of pops up outside of Atlanta. Probably 2 to 3 hours all the way out into North Georgia is a great area. People want to get away from Atlanta and other big cities, So anything you can find that's affordable anywhere around a big city, closer the better. 30 minutes to an hour is ideal. But if you're a couple hours away and it's beautiful North Georgia land, you're gonna have success selling it. It's kind of crazy, this deal I'm doing near Fort Stockton, it's like literally right outside of city limits. Like it touches city limits, so that's ideal. Obviously, it's right next to the city, and this just goes to show you like all the little things that go into doing this. People think it's like, it is easy at the core of it, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Like we had to keep these above 10 acre lots because the water district out there doesn't have any more capacity and they're not allowing any more taps. So we keep it above 10 acres. There's a water conservation district out there, but if you keep it above 10 acres, there's a state exemption in Texas that allows you to drill a well on your 10 acres. You just file a simple little form and you can drill your own water well. So there's little things like that on, just about every land deal. Every land deal is different. Every state is different. Every county is different. They have their own regulations, own markets. People get all bent out of shape. They're like, oh, I see you posting this land in Texas. It's $1,500 an acre. I'm in. I want to buy it. Because near them, land is like 50 to 100,000 per acre. But what they don't understand is, yeah, 1,500 per acre. But at the same time, you can still find land in Texas, Arizona, Nevada, some other states for under $1,000 per acre. So every market, obviously, every market is a market within themselves. Land varies. New York land is going to be millions of dollars versus middle nowhere desert is going to be hundreds or thousands of dollars. There's a huge difference. How do you get started? Well, you made a good first step joining this live call, but you got to, I started with free resources, podcasts, whether it's mine, Land Academies, Land Geeks, free ebooks, books. Start small and start learning to do stuff. I'm glad this guy showed back up so I can block him. There we go. So what you need to do is start small, start with free resources, YouTube, podcasts, ask questions, send DMs. Downtown Fort Worth. What's up, Michael? Pretty expensive. All DFW is expensive near this area. Although you step outside of Dallas, Fort Worth, or Austin, or Houston, or a lot of other big cities, and you can find land outside of DFW an hour or so. You can find it for $5,000 to $10,000 per acre in larger acreages. Because obviously the more acreage you buy, the cheaper it's going to be, right? So it's kind of like buying in bulk. You get a discount, and then you can subdivide it and create value. What's up, Jeff? So there's a question about oil and mineral rights. All right, every state has different rules and regulations when it comes to mineral rights. In general, though, mineral rights is not the same as surface rights. So just because you own the surface, it's funny, people go in, they buy a piece of land in Texas, they think, oh, I own the land and everything underneath, and they think they're gonna become rich from oil wells and oil drilling. That's not the case. Oil and mineral rights, and all mineral rights really, are separate as opposed to surface rights. So you can own the surface over here, but not the minerals. These minerals have gotten severed decades ago, oftentimes, and so there is some value that's created on the surface side from oil drilling, jobs, demand for land. It creates a stronger economy, so it's going to drive the price of the surface up as well as the price of the minerals when the oil goes up. So I'm a genius when it comes to land. So, to answer your question, that's a state-by-state thing. Same with water rights also. Like Colorado, we're kind of trying to figure out how water rights work in Colorado as opposed to Texas. If you own the surface in Texas, you own the water rights in 99.9% of the cases. And so each state is different with all these rights. You got to know and do your research on this. You can't just go in and buy a piece of land and think that you own everything. Land does not have the same tax benefits, Jeff. Land has very little tax benefits. Unfortunately, you can't depreciate land. You can make crazy returns with land, though. I'm not a CPA or an attorney. A good tax deferral strategy in land is installment sales using Form 6252s, but you cannot depreciate land. So you can make crazy amounts of money and returns in land, and then you need to come over and do like multifamily or some other, harvest tax strategy to minimize tax burden, if that's what you're going for, right? For me, when I start off, and for other beginners, I recommend making as much money as quickly as possible. To do that, you can wholesale really any type of real estate or flip land. It's simple. You can wholesale land. You can do a lot of stuff with land. Uh, I'm always a proponent of paying tax and then putting my money back to work and making crazy returns. The returns I make outpace the tax burden. Obviously, I don't want to pay tax. I do utilize tax strategies and um, different tax advantages and strategies to minimize tax. But if I could make a ton of money and pay tax and then just go do it again, I mean, it's just all just an economic game. You got to know your numbers. And starting off, you're just going to want to make some money, especially if you're a beginner. So I wouldn't be too worried about your tax liability. I mean, you obviously need to pay taxes, but you're not going to be worried about minimizing your tax liability as much when you're a beginner, at least in my opinion. So yeah, you can get in a lot of places, including Texas, you can get like an agriculture exemption by putting cattle on your land. And then there's also other write-offs that are associated with livestock, obviously, that you can utilize for tax purposes, the cost of livestock, upkeep, all those sorts of things. The main thing with livestock and cattle and different things is the ag exemption that would come with the land. Funny enough, this town I'm buying, I'm keeping the 6 donkeys. I still don't know what I'm going to do with them, how long I'm going to keep them. I'm going to keep them for at least a little bit. I get 6 donkeys with my town. I need to come up with names for all 6. Maybe you guys can help me name the donkeys. That'd be fun. And shoot a bunch of videos with them. Apparently people like going out there to see the donkeys and or pet them or feed them or whatever. So who knows how long they'll stick around, or I'll keep them around. But donkeys, a cafe, 3 mobile homes, a little motel, 6 RV spots, which we're going to expand, a bunch of equipment like an ATM machine, ice maker, grills, coolers, fridges, stuff like that. Do you ever get people reaching out trying to lease land for cattle? Yeah, from time to time I got people want to lease for cattle or solar or whatever. The problem is that the economics never work out because the cattle and solar leases and stuff are not that, they don't pay that much. So it always makes sense, for me at least, to sell the land as opposed to lease it. The numbers don't even really make sense when you start looking into leases, hunting, cattle, etc. Is there any land that you just won't sell? Okay, so it's a good question. I do own land personally. It's a goal of mine to own several big ranches in Texas. I want to be one of Texas's largest landowners. But when you're starting, you cannot start like that, all right? My advice is when you start, it has to be viewed as a business venture, because when you start holding land, you're not making any money. So I do hold land. I fall in love with a lot of pieces of land, and I do have I don't know what the total is at, probably 100 to 200 acres that I just own personally in various parts of Texas for various reasons, whether it's because the water is good or I like the area or it's a kind of a bug out spot or whatever. So when you get into real estate and into this business, land, and I've never done houses or RVs or whatever, but I imagine in other facets of real estate as well, you're going to get to a point where you want to start holding stuff personally for various different reasons, and that's good, but just not at the beginning, because holding and hoping for appreciation and using that as a strategy to make money is not viable. Buying it undervalued and selling it for more is the most viable strategy to make money in this business. You want to make money, achieve financial freedom, and then you can focus on building that long-term wealth, at least in my opinion, and holding stuff personally. So that's kind of what I have done. Some of my favorites, I got this 20-acre piece out in Hudspeth County that has good water. It has a draw running through it. 2 areas actually in Hudspeth County, 20 acres each, that has a draw running through it. I got a nice little 10-acre piece in Pecos County along the water line, and a few others in various different spots of West Texas. So I would love to have a West Texas ranch and then a ranch closer to probably Dallas, Fort Worth. I like the Fort Worth area. That's where I live and run my business out of. So if I could have a awesome ranch near Fort Worth, it's like an hour away, hold meetups and stuff there, And then I have my town now, which is kind of my first venture. Like, guys, it's been 6 years for me now since I've started flipping land. This is my first time that I've done anything outside of just land, ground up, right? A cafe where we're gonna sell wood, we're gonna sell gas, we're gonna sell ice, food, lodging, etc. It's been 6 years of just doing land until I've done my first other project in real estate. So I've been focused on this now for 6 years. It's been a long time, and I wanted to try something different. Yeah, I went to Texas Tech, guns up. Love Lubbock, love West Texas. Second home of mine. I do a lot of land out there, obviously. Had someone messaging me today, actually, on a 10-acre piece that we still have out in Lubbock County. If you guys go to landsofamerica.com, search Lubbock County, 10 acres, you'll see my listing there, Jazz Land. We have 3 lots left over there. I did, in the last 6 months, it would have been 290 acres in Lubbock County. Bought 2 quarter-acre sections. A quarter acre is 160 acres. I broke those into 10 and 20-acre lots, and we sold it all except for 3 10-acre lots out near Shallow Water. If you look at Shallow Water, Texas, it's a kind of a small community, a small little town that's just about 15-20 minutes northwest of Lubbock, which is where Texas Tech is. And I got 160 acres out there. Yeah, go Red Raiders. So if any of you are looking for 10 acres out there, that's a lot of farmland. And again, that's kind of where I've done a lot of my farmland projects, is the Lubbock and surrounding areas. Is like a lot of this land is being farmed, the farmer dies, or they want to pass it along in the family, and the family doesn't want to farm. They just want their money. And so it's kind of sad economically. It doesn't really make sense for the farmers to continue farming, or the family to continue farming. They just want to cash out. It doesn't make sense for me to continue farming from an economic standpoint. It makes more sense for me to do a subdivision and sell it off for people to use livestock, mobile homes, etc. So that's what we've been doing out there. There's a good video, I don't know if I posted it, yeah, where I'm like walking through the farm field with the corn. That's out in Lubbock, 180 acre farm field. So yeah, big week, big year coming up. I'm gonna be spending a lot of time out in West Texas. Some of y'all should come out and see me at my town. If you want to come out, it's about an hour east of El Paso. I'll probably do like a few open houses. Anyone who wants to fly out or come out can stay for free. Not 100% sure how comfortable or live, city like your accommodations would be. They'd probably be staying in a mobile home, but the mobile homes are nice. He's got nice mobile homes that are being passed along with the town. So y'all are more than welcome to come out, stay, help me run the town, learn things, ask questions. You can look at land in the surrounding area. Hudspeth County is where I got my start in land investing. So it's a good area. It's one of my favorite areas, near the Guadalupe Mountain National Park. So, any other questions? I hope everyone's 2023 is off to a good start. Mine certainly has been, and we're gonna keep pushing, keep doing more deals, growing business, and make 2023 a good one. So it's been a good start. Let's keep it going. Hope everyone's having a good weekend. And yeah, that's all for me. I'll be on again next weekend for another land talk.